Let's check out some cards and let's talk about card shows. So I'll start out with the fun part. Let's look at some cards. I'm going to show you guys a couple of things that I picked up here recently. And there was a card show today in Bristol, Tennessee at the Hard Rock. And had a chance to go to that one with my oldest. And we picked up some cool stuff. Went a tiny bit over budget. Yeah, y'all know how it goes. So first of all, this is a pretty iconic card. And I promise one day I'll have an overhead camera, but I don't have it set up yet. So for right now, we're just going to have to block me out, let you guys check it out. So, Barry Sanders rookie. It's only a PSA 6, but this is a pretty iconic card. I got a good deal on it. And it's a pretty clean copy. I mean, all things considered, if I would have submitted this, I would not have thought this was a PSA 6, and I doubt whoever submitted it did either. But still a pretty awesome one. This one I actually need some help with. So when I put this into my, what's that app called? CallX. I just now started using it, so I not exactly sure what I'm looking at here. When I pulled it up, it said this was a 1977 play ball reprint of Mac McQueen. And I don't see any indicators on it saying that it is a reprint. There's nothing on it that says. So I don't know if this is a reprint, if it's an original. Either way, I basically got it free thrown in with something else that I picked up, so, not a big deal. Got not sure if I showed this one or not yet, Clemente. It is off-centered pretty bad, especially on the back. But I got a really good deal on it, and I did not have this card in particular, so it was pretty awesome. So I got some cheaper ones, Got the Boggs, just a good copy of that card. I like Bo Jackson, huge fan of Bo Jackson. It's a pretty nice one, I thought. George Brett. And some of these, especially in the 80s, they're not worth a fortune unless they grade high. But if they're copies that I don't have for whatever reason, or they're better copies than what I do have, then I'll try to upgrade those. Member choice, Nolan Ryan. So I talk about the Reds a lot, especially on my other channel. Big Reds fan. But I'm equally as much as a Rangers fan. I grew up watching the minor league team in my hometown for the Reds. So that kind of, pushes me over the 50-50. However, there's a ton of Rangers players that I grew up, just idolizing. Nolan Ryan was one of those. One of my all-time favorite player ever on planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned, would have been the GOAT should he had a healthy career. Josh Hamilton, also Rangers great. Bo Jackson. This is not a huge card. But I thought it was pretty cool. For some reason, it's not focusing. There we go. Pretty clean copy of that one. It's pretty cool. So for some reason, I love Griffey. I mean, if you grew up in the 90s and you weren't a Griffey fan, where were you? Did not have this star card for whatever reason, and found a copy of that one. This was nothing special, but again, it's one that I did not have. It's the metal Derek Jeter. Thought that was a pretty sweet card. Go back in history a little bit. Stargell. This is not a good copy of this card, but the price on it was desirable, so I went through with it anyway. This is, the man himself, the would have been greatest, Josh Hamilton, Into the Rainbow. And this, these cards don't go for much for whatever reason. The Topps Gold label is pretty underrated in my opinion. I think it's less than $1, but Love Hamilton did not have that one. I think these are very well designed cards. I know the downtowns for modern stuff they're popular, but these Heart of the City cards are just as cool, if not more cool, in my opinion, because it actually does show the skyline of the city there, and it's a good picture. So big fan of that series. You know, again, nothing high dollar, just a clean copy, Nolan Ryan. Can't go wrong with Ryan. Steve Garvey, All-Star. It's a pretty cool one. I think it focuses when it takes my face out, so I'll try to remember that. Dave Winfield. Again, nothing special, but very, very clean copy. Don Sutton. It's a pretty cool one. One of my favorite pitchers, Jim Palmer. I liked his delivery. Fergie Jenkins. I don't know what it is about this guy or who he reminds me of, but for some reason I love his cards. I have no reason to be a fan of this guy, but I don't know what it is. I see one and I'm like, hey, that's a nice card. I almost put her up in the same ranking as Jim Palmer when it's not, but for whatever reason it brings me joy. So this was in a dollar box, and I don't know how the career is going to end up, but I'm a huge fan of the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup cards are pretty awesome in my opinion. Since those came out, I've been a huge fan. So I can't say I'd rather have the Gold Cup than his original, but it is an opening day Gold Cup, so I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so kicking it back to some older ones. These were just some general cards that were in good condition, that were in the value box. I didn't pay that for it. But I thought they were pretty cool. Not bad copies of those cards. And on that same route, well, let's kick it over. So, not sure. This is kind of a cult card, right? The Jordan baseball. I did not have a copy of this card. I've got a lot of Jordans. Love Jordan's basketball career. The GOAT, you'll never change my mind. I did not have that card. And it has a little ding in it, which means I got it at a great price. And I don't care that it has a ding in it because it's going into my PC. Steve Carlton. Again, just a clean copy. Nothing special as far as value, but I loved it. I also didn't have this Ryan, and it's not a hard card to find, but for whatever reason, I did not have this one. So I thought that was a pretty cool card. Reggie Jackson. Again, nothing special, but you got to love Reggie. Okay, so I'm going to go into the cooler ones. I'm not going to pull this one out. This is a Tyson Beck Topps Authentic Artist Autograph. This guy designed these cards, and this is an autographed copy. I just thought this was really cool. This is like a reprint artwork, a design card from this guy who signed the card. And I love that card in general. And I thought, how cool would it be to have that, just something unique to go with it. I know these things are not crazy rare, but I thought they were pretty awesome. So, pleased with that one. Okay, so I picked this one up. It's not in good condition. There's crease in it, as you can see. There's nothing special about it, but I was a catcher growing up through school, all the way through school, and I collect catchers. So Roy is one of the greats. Just loved his card. So I had to pick that one up. Definitely did not have that one. Found it in a guy's box at a flea market and had to have it. It's a pretty awesome card. Okay. So, found me another one. Gold Cup Johnny Bench. Got a decent deal on it. The price on it was crazy, but it's a pretty nice copy. I'm hoping for maybe a 3-ish. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to get. But I will definitely grade it just to make sure I protect it, keep it in there. And, as I go, I've got other copies of these cards. It's something I normally would consider kind of selling off the ones I had after I get an upgrade copy of it. But, Bench is one of my favorite players. And his value also stays pretty great. So I don't know that I'll be getting rid of these anytime soon. So, as surprising as it is, because I say I'm a bench collector, but I've never found one that I wanted or had an opportunity to get that was a decent price, decent value. Bench's rookie and Mr. Ron Tompkins. This card has eluded me for whatever reason, and today is the first day I had an opportunity at the card show to pick one up. And I got it in concert with the other one. I got these two together from the same gentleman. He thought he was giving me a good deal. In reality, he was giving me a little less than current comps. But, today was the day. So I pulled the trigger, finally got Bench's rookie card. I'm a bigger fan of the individual cards. It's why I love the Gold Cup. But I had to have a rookie card. I just had to. Last one I got, and this is a card that I thought I had an opportunity earlier in the week to get a PSA 8. And that's a big difference in what I got versus that. But for my PC, and if you guys have been listening to any of my other videos, you know that I'm an advocate for some of the lower grades of SGC for vintage. I think the value and the upside on these is awesome. And this is one that I wouldn't mind to upgrade over time or maybe keep for investment. But it's the Mickey Mouse All-Star card. Yeah, it's pretty awesome for a 58. Centering is pretty good on it. The edges are rough. Color was great on it as well. I just thought it was a very cool card if I can keep it in focus. Anyway, I was pretty excited about that one. And I got a decent deal on it as well. So, those are the ones I got today. So, card show. This is the second go around for the Tri-City show. It was okay. I struggle to throw out the cons without throwing in some pros. But what I found today is that dealer prices are so astronomical that it almost makes me just not want to go back anymore. And I'm not talking about like 20% above current comps. I'm talking quadruple or more of current comps. And the attitude that comes along with the purchasing, or if you even hint that their price is too high, they come at you like you've done something wrong. And I had, met some coworkers there, saw them there, some people I was talking to at the show. And they had not only the same opinion, but they had more disdain than I had. And it's very unfortunate because it's a local show. And it's many of the same vendors that we had last time, and I had some complaints there as well. Some of the Pokemon vendors that were there, they were actually the nicest. And the Pokemon community right now gets a bad rap for being the ones scalping the cards and getting in fist fights in Costco. And, but every time my son is with me, they treat us like gold because they understand the he's into that, right? And even when I ask for a price or I'm trying to find one for him, my other son that wasn't there today, they're kind and flexible in the pricing. They don't try to gouge the price. I mean, even if they mark the price up above what the last comp was, it's a reasonable amount, and they're fair. They didn't overpay in COVID and just decide, hey, we're going to gouge everyone until we've made our money back. They didn't they cut their losses and moved on. Some of these dealers that are at these card shows, and there's specific ones I have in mind, but I'm not going to name them. They are so manipulative on pricing. For example, I peeled them off because it made me so mad. But, on the two bench cards, the rookie and the Gold Cup, they had a sticker on there that had the price of what the other people charge and then the price of what they charge. And what do you know? It's almost half price of what other people charge. You're getting such a great deal. The issue is that price is still double comp. You're manipulating people, and you can watch a lot of shows, a lot of content. You can speak to a lot of dealers, and they'll tell you that you make money when you buy cards, right? The margin that you get when you buy something off of someone, or you purchase the right collection, or you make the right deal, that's where you make your money. Because when you charge the customer a fair price and you leave a little meat on the bone for everybody else, it not only does it make it fair, but it makes it ethical. Some of these people, I'll listen, these same two guys, and I really want to name them because it makes me furious. I kind of have buyer's remorse on these because I bought them from them. They had a conversation right in front of me at the table, and they were talking about, we don't have to negotiate on any of these prices because we'll take it to, Nashville in a couple weeks and charge those idiots double. And meanwhile, I'm standing at the showcase and looking through cards. I'm thinking, why would you do that? It takes the, screw the hobby pretty much. And who cares if you're there to collect or, enjoy it with other people. These people are ruthless a-holes. And I see families walking around because there's not very many card shows around here. You have to travel to go see them. So when you do have a show that's building and starting to grow here, and you have those guys come in, I just want them out. It makes me not want to come back. And I hate that because I really want to participate. I mean, I'm here. I have a channel. I have TikTok. I have content that I put out to support the card hobby. I've got, my own collection. My kids want to go. They're involved. And I really want to be involved with that community here. Make some friends, especially in the vintage community because, there were a lot of awesome vintage cards there. But when I'm looking at these prices, I'm thinking, my goodness, how in the world does anybody not check the prices first? Second thing I found, and this is a big warning, just a heads up, check the certification numbers on grading company slabs. Some of the grading companies are no longer in business. Pro Grading, I think, is one I saw a lot today, and their cards are no longer even, you can't go to the website, right? So, and then you have other ones that are slab that says Beckett or BCCG, and you've got PSA ones, and they look normal. Unless you've seen so many of them, seen a ton of them, and you can just spot it. You can tell that the paper and the different quality, I won't go into this today, but this is one of the perks of why we pay a little extra for PSA because of the security measures for being able to check those. In this case, it was a 9.5 of some basketball player. The certification number did not match what was on that card. I found 3 of these, and I don't think the people knew. I'm pretty sure they had bought it as a collection and just trying to flip it. Check your certification numbers because some of these cards are being reslabbed as other cards for selling purposes. I'll just leave it at that. So be careful with those. Be careful with who you're buying from. Also, one note to take away, if the dealer will let you, especially if you're buying a card that's worth a good amount of money, if you can't see it, if there's a lot of lights, especially, really bright ones overhead, ask if you can take the card out of the top loader, or if they can, or if they'll let you hold it raw and take it out, and check for issues. If that deal is close to comp, chances are it's because something's wrong. It's unfortunate to have to think that. These people are not your friends. Most of them are not your friends. Some of them are good people. Some of them love the hobby. They love collecting. They love sports. Most of them are just out to rip you a new one. And it's extremely unfortunate, because I watched kids walk up to tables and ask, can you, what do you do on this one when you take trade? And they're like, And they'll say, well, we'll do, 60% of comp. Don't do that. Don't do that. 60% of comp, just because you overpaid when you bought, does not mean you make 40% off of a kid walking up to your table. You know good and well that 80% of comp is less than fair. In my opinion, it doesn't mean it's industry standard. You can afford that. I'll just leave it at that. Be careful who you talk to. These people, again, not your friends. I know you guys, I don't get to go to these because of, funding, opportunity, kids, work, a lot of different reasons, but I get to go to some of the smaller shows and events. But for those of you who are going to some of the larger ones, like the nationals and things like that, keep in mind, when dealers tell you, hey, we buy at 60% or we buy at 80%, so, well, great, I pay at 80%. It's controversial, I know. They chose this hobby. They chose this, I'm going to buy a booth, I'm going to try to make profit. You're the end user. Just because they overpaid for a card doesn't mean you have to suffer. And if they don't want to sell it to you, that's fine, But you also don't have to sit there and say, you're being unreasonable because you want 90% of the card's value. If you want to pay 90% of the last comp, they should have bought it better. And if not, they'll sell it to somebody else, right? Do not feel like you're pressured into buying something from a vendor because they want to pretend like they know what they're talking about. So most of these cards, they probably haven't even comped since 2020. They probably got back in COVID. They saw where they could make a fortune, started ripping people off, and the stickers on those cards haven't changed since 2020. They're not going to retouch them all. They're just going to charge COVID prices until somebody's dumb enough to come pay them. Dumb is not the right word. Ignorant enough, because they literally don't know. They haven't researched. They haven't comped the cards. They just don't know enough about what's going on to come back and say, this is a ridiculous price. Ridiculous. Also, one thing to keep in mind, if you're buying for your PC especially, and let's say that you're going to purchase a raw card. You can tell the raw card's there's something a little bit wrong with it, but not crazy. It's still a beautiful card. Most of the time, these vendors will charge a price somewhere around PSA 6 and PSA 7 for that raw card, if it has visible damage on it. And they'll do that because they'll say, oh, well, it's still great card. It'll probably grade at this, this, and this. The issue is that you could go ahead and buy that 6 or 7 already graded without the fees for the same price as what you're paying for a raw card not in the best of shape. Unless you see something gem mint pretty close to it and you think it has a shot, at least about 8, 9, 10, you're better off buying the graded card at a PSA 6, and kind of like that Barry Sanders, and the value over time, you hope it goes up, and it allows you an opportunity to upgrade to a 7 or an 8. You don't have to take a gamble on the raw card. So just keep that in mind. Just because you see a raw copy and you think you're going to get a better deal on a raw than grade it yourself, Oftentimes that's not the case. If you go ahead and purchase it graded, you'll probably save yourself a lot of trouble. So, and plus grading standards change, right? As they get tougher, as PSA gets tougher on grading standards, if they graded that card a while back, that same card may not get a 6 anymore, may get a 4. So you may get a way nicer card in a 6 that has been graded previously than if you slab one up in a 6 now. So, just my opinion. Anyway, got one of my GOAT cards today, and I was very excited about it. Also the Mantle. But finally got a Johnny Bench rookie, and to me that is a good day. So, appreciate you guys checking in. My wife had wisdom teeth surgery, so I've been kind of absent for a few days. It's been one of those weeks at my house. So I'll try to keep coming out with some stuff here soon. Until then, thanks guys. Catch you on the next one.